Concerning Kim Gardner, what evidence would you present in your filing that you've said you will file, and when will you file that? Where will you file it? And have you spoken with the St. Louis City prosecutor?
My office has been in contact with the Circuit Attorney's office in the past weeks. I'll tell you that this is about the rule of law and about justice for me. And there are a number of issues that we see coming from the City of St. Louis and the Circuit Attorney's office that all establish neglect in office, and it is time for her to resign and for the rule of law and justice to prevail. We're hopeful she'll make the right decision, and if not, we're prepared to move forward with legal action shortly after noon today. City of St. Louis, 22nd Judicial Circuit.
My question's for Governor Mike Parson. Oh, okay.
Any more questions for Attorney General?
For this, excuse me, for this removal of office process, how long would that process take for her to actually be removed from office if she doesn't resign today?
Well, the court controls that timeline. So we will present our evidence and we'll try to get our day in court as quickly as possible because, again, this is about the rule of law. And the people of the City of St. Louis and the people of Eastern Missouri and across the state deserve clarity, and they deserve justice in our criminal justice system. So we will move as swiftly as the process allows us to reach the right result, which is that the Circuit Attorney is no longer in office in the coming days, weeks, and months.
I've heard that this may take months, if not years. Is that accurate?
We don't anticipate it'll take that long. Again, we will be moving as expeditiously as possible to reach the right result, and we're hopeful that she will make the right decision and resign before noon today, as called for in my demand.
Yeah, Kim Gardner has at various times suggested she's being targeted because of her minority status. I mean, what would you say in response to her if she says, hey, they're just going after me because I'm a black female in office? What do you say to that?
Nothing could be less true. Nothing could be more false. This is about the rule of law and about justice. Instead of protecting victims, which is her obligation, she's creating more victims by neglect in office.
We'll take one more for Andrew.
Question for you. Her office has also alleged that judges aren't doing their job. What responsibility do judges have if a defendant is constantly violating bond to revoke that bond? That's one of the things we've seen come out of her office in the last 24 hours.
Well, I'm going to leave that to the judiciary. I'm a litigant as in an adversarial process in the judiciary, the same that the Circuit Attorney is. And so my focus is on the Circuit Attorney and her neglect in office. And she has until noon today to resign or face removal proceedings shortly thereafter.
Two kind of questions real quick. First off, if she does resign, are you in charge of appointing someone to that position? And then my next question, what are your thoughts? Should she resign? We haven't heard from you yet.
Yeah, I definitely think there's plenty of evidence right now what I believe that she is not doing what she needs to be doing as the prosecutor of St. Louis City. And I believe there's not just my opinion. I think when you look at a record, it's been consistent with violent crime in that area, with the issues they face. This is nothing new. It's just a matter that's probably brought it all to the top. And I think there's many people in St. Louis right now that are calling for her to resign and to try to move on, to be able to move on in the city of St. Louis. So yes, that would be my process, appointing another prosecuting attorney for that area.
What kind of appointee are you looking for? Does that person need to be a Republican, a Democrat, from the city, from anywhere? What's the profile?
Well, there's a process will be in place. We'll work with the city administrators up there. We'll be talking to the mayor's office. We'll be talking about different people. And it'll be the same record I've continued to do since I've been governor, appointing people in those positions. I'm going to find the most qualified candidate and try to put them in that position and do what they take an oath to do. That'll be the first priority of that as we go through that selection process. But again, we've got to go through that process. And as of this time right now, she has not resigned. So we'll just wait and see how that comes out.
I just want to clarify Emily's question. She had asked, do you think she should resign? Do you think she should resign?
I do think she should resign. I think with everything that's happened and it continues, I think it's more of a pattern. It continues to happen, you know, and it's unfortunate that we have somebody in that position, whether it's a prosecutor or one of the young ladies asked about the judges a while ago. Look, we are public servants. We're elected officials. All of us are. I am, they are. And if you say you're going to do your job and take an oath to that, you should be doing that very thing. So if the judges are failing, they should be called out for not doing their jobs also. And we plan to look into that and see where that's at, you know. Are they doing what they need to be doing? Look, some guy that can walk out of bond 42 different times, there's a failure in the system. And we need to first admit there's a failure to that, and we need to figure out how we're going to change that. And I would also say sometimes people would say, well, this is a St. Louis issue. You know, I will tell you it's not a St. Louis issue. Thousands upon thousands of Missouri go to that city every day, just like this young lady go there from a different state to come in here. This is about the people of Missouri, and it affects all of us, just not one small region of the state.
Governor, we have time for 2 more. We're going to do
Okay.
one right over here, and then we've got one.
Piggybacking off what you just said, that young lady was a tourist. We talk about St. Louis being an economic engine in this part of the state, biggest city in the state. What is your reaction to what happened to this tourist, and how do we continue to attract conventions and visitors to our city when we have things like this happening?
Look, you know, to be perfectly honest about this, you know, it's one of the questions I always have to answer when I go outside the state of Missouri, you know. And St. Louis is such a great city. It has so many positive things going on, but you highlight a violent crime. And all these major cities, you know, a lot of these major cities, I won't say all of them, but a lot of them, are going to have to do things differently than they've ever done it before to fight violent crime. You cannot let convicts out all the time. You can't do people that are bad people and let them out on the streets all the time and expect them to do anything differently when there is no accountability for them or the courts or the prosecutors. Again, we all take a part of this because it's our state. We want that region. We want people to go there and feel safe. The number one issue, no matter where you live in this country, no matter whether you live in rural Missouri or cities or wherever it might be, people want to feel safe when they walk down the street. They want their kids to be able to go out and be safe. And you got to take bad people off the street. So we got to quit doing what we're doing right now because it's not working. And this is a perfect example of why.
Yeah, Governor Parson, is there precedent across the state of, or in the history of Missouri for a removal process like this? Is there something that the state is looking at in its past?
Well, I think that's always been on the table as part of the process if we ever want to use that, and I think that's more the Attorney General's decision to do that and what we feel is the best thing for the people of Missouri, and I think that's exactly why he's went forward with what he is. So, you know, look, these processes don't happen very often. They're unique, to say the least, but it seems like since I've been governor, there's always seems like a first for everything. But I will tell you this, at the end of the day, we're going to do the right thing for the people of Missouri. The Attorney General, I know, is going to do the same thing, and I'm going to work with him, you know, hand in hand to make sure we do the right thing for the people of this state. Thank you all very much.